everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Chrissy and today I'll be giving you a prediction reading for the 24th of August. Now if you are new here, I do talk about the current global energies and I also discuss the Great Awakening process which is happening on a very, very large scale at the moment. So I'll close my eyes, we'll just get started. Don't forget to subscribe as well if you haven't, and let's see what comes up. I'm getting it. People are really battling now. I'm getting that these people waking up are really battling. They're showing me out on the battlefield, not us, we're not on the battlefield, we're resting over here. They're battling. It's showing me them sword fighting, they've got their swords up, and it's showing me that most of them don't have shields. So it's almost like they're showing me their armor, but they don't have a shield to protect themselves. So they're just having to sort of fight things off. Now, when we think of that, not having a shield and sort of having a sword fight, it's fighting against government. These people waking up are in the battle of their lives, and that's what the message is that the guides are saying. They're in the battle of their life. This is their chance to get their lives back and get their freedom back, and they have to stand up. Otherwise, it's showing me this is like slipping away through their fingers. It's showing me, like, if you think of slime, you know, kids' slime that you play with, it's slipping through their fingers and they can't get a grasp on their lives. So this is the people waking up. They're having to now fight for their lives. So they are now in the battle for their lives moving forward. We know that because we're observing all of this from a very long way away with our binoculars, just seeing what's happening. A very safe place to be, just observing. I'm definitely getting that the battle has begun. Woo! The battle has begun. They're showing me like whoever's leading that charge of the people waking up is yelling out sort of, charge forth, charge forth. So there's always that sort of person out the front who's leading the pack. They're really in the battle now for their lives. And probably, you know, this is in all areas of their lives, but it's also, we know on this channel, a lot to do with the jab. That's affected their lives. It's made a lot of people very sick. We know there's been a lot of vaccine injuries. Gosh knows what's going to come out moving forward. We don't even know the half of it because only time will tell, as these were trial jabs, as we know here on my channel. So now they're in the battle for their lives, and this is about getting their freedoms back, financially being able to cope, owning a home. You know, if you want to own a home, you can't go down that road of the reset agenda because you're never going to own a home, because remember, you'll own nothing and be happy, and that's what the rollout's all about. So they're in that battle for their lives now. They either stand up or it's all going to slip away through their fingers and be gone forever. And that's what I'm getting. It's showing me them fighting. Oh, I still feel that there could be this fighting uprising in September in a lot of places. There's a lot of places that haven't stood up. They've attempted to stand up, but then they got squashed pretty quickly. So now that everything else has come sort of into fruition, I guess you could say every conspiracy is now coming into fruition, meaning credit scoring. CAN app, for example, apps on our phone of where we're traveling, our carbon emissions, what we're allowed to buy and not buy with our credit scoring that they're trying to roll out sneakily by stealth on all our phone apps and everything. Gosh, everything seems to be an app on our phones, doesn't it? I think all of you would agree if you're watching my channel. Everything seems to be around an app. They say, load this app, load that app. Do this. If you put this on your phone, it'll be very convenient. You'll be able to trace yourself doing this, and it's just, honestly, for my generation, and I know a lot of you out there watch my generation, I know you younger ones are pretty digitally savvy, you have your head around it. It's overwhelming. I don't even know, personally, I have to get my daughter to upgrade my apps on my phone because I'm very clueless digitally. I know that sounds very basic, but I'm very hopeless at it. And it's kind of something that I just can't really get my head around sometimes. But everything seems to be becoming an app, which, as we know, is going to make it very convenient for government to track, trace, and control everything. And if all your money, for example, is on your phone, in your bank accounts, there's nothing that they can't find and get to. They can get to your health. They can get to your finances. They can freeze bank accounts, as you guys know in Canada, and nothing stopping them doing it everywhere else. So this is what's happening now. They're fighting to get their lives back. These poor people out there, it's good to just keep observing this from afar, but definitely getting these kind of things. This is, this is affecting people's health now, that they have to rise up or they're going to just lose things forever. See, people don't want to be dictated to. They're realizing now, 3 years on, nearly 3 years, that their lives are going to be dictated to. They've worked that out. It took a while. I guess a lot of us here probably thought, I did, and I know you guys would have, after 6 months when the jabs didn't work and everything was still getting, have your booster, have you this, have you that, keep getting everything. It was like, oh my God, this is never going to end. Okay, these people will wake up now. But they didn't, because we back then weren't even aware of the mass psychosis ourselves. We are now. We're very aware of it, because half of them or more are still stuck in it. That's around the jab, not anything else. So this is what we're getting now. There's this, it's just, they stayed on it. They stayed on the jab wheel. And it's been like, they've even had flu shots here in Australia. I know they would have where you guys are too. You're coming into winter, a lot of you. So they'll be pushing the flu jab. Don't worry about it. That'll be coming on your ads on TV soon. God, Australia, we just got pummeled with it. It was just never ending. And again, protect the elderly. The same narrative they used for CV virus, of course. And this is what's happening now. They're starting to realise, hang on a minute, it's been 2.5, nearly 3 years, and they're starting to dictate my life. Not only is this around the jab, it's around every aspect of these people's lives. So now they've got to go into battle. We've done our battling. We're done. I told you that we've removed ourselves, and it's okay for us to, because we became battle weary and we had to find a way to re-energize, re-strengthen ourselves and get our lives moving forward again, because we didn't choose that path and we didn't want to stay stuck in that narrative. So we've moved away and plonked ourselves over here, I'd say in Terabella, our happy place, where we've chosen to ignite our souls and start living again, instead of just staying stuck in this madness and crazy chaotic vibe, which these poor people are now having to battle in. So that's what we're getting here. We're getting the really strong, it's an emotional uprising for these people now. Like we went through, how would you describe the uprising that we went through in the beginning with the trucker movement and all of these kind of things? It was an uprising, I would say, of spiritual power and strength. We didn't want to lose our spiritual beliefs, our, I guess, believing in our own truths and what felt right for us. We didn't want to lose our identity in all of this. So we stood up very early, but now these people are having to fight these emotional battles, because I keep saying it, they're having to go through their emotional journey of waking up, but then they're also having to stand up to government, which takes, as we know here, a lot of bravery. We often get given that image of Braveheart, Mel Gibson, with his sword and his shield and his horse. And he says, they can take our lives, but they can't take our freedom. Well, now these people are having to find that strength. They're standing up. I just want you to know on this channel, they're standing up. It's coming. They are. They're standing up. They're tired of it. They don't want to be squashed. They know where it's going. Gosh, you only have to really mention the word communism and like China, and that pretty much wakes a lot of people up. Gosh, I saw a little clip last night on Shanghai, and they're going through now the electric grid problem, where there's a very big shortage of electricity, like all of us went through a few months ago. Well, now Shanghai's getting it. So they turned all the lights off and minimized all the lights because we need to save on power. Absolutely ridiculous. More lies. So, people are seeing it. These are things on mainstream news. Shanghai in blackout because of electricity shortages. God, as if. And of course, it's climate change probably causing it again. Same old. Climate change seems to cause everything, doesn't it? Oh, so over this. Did you hear that Fauci's semi-resigning? He's not completely disappearing, but he is pulling back now because he's done all his wonderful work, hasn't he, with the coronavirus. Oh, he's been wonderful, hasn't he? Oh, God. A lot of us would like to get behind him and kick him out with a big boot up his behind, excuse the French. So we might see a bit less of Fauci, which I think most of us here on my channel, but actually quite grateful about that. Him moving into the background. God, he's had the foreground for long enough. I'm so over his face. I'm sure you guys are as well. Sorry, I don't gel with Fauci. He's not got the greatest. He's so protected, isn't he? He's not got the greatest history of really solving health problems, but he's got so much protection behind him. He's like protected by I always call them the mafia bosses, but not the real mafia, but this is the like CV mafia. He's just so protected. He seems so untouchable. All that about the what is it? The what do they call it in the lab? All the oh God, it's that ridiculous, isn't it? Was it a man-made virus? Was it not a man-made virus? You know, we'll never really know what goes on in the world of the Chinese labs. Only Fauci probably knows that. Gain of function, that's it, gain of function. Oh my goodness. Why you would be doing that gain of function research is beyond me, but all the money gets poured into it, doesn't it? It's solving nothing. Okay, let's see what else we get today. Oh, they're showing me these people waking up like they're really tired, they're needing a snooze. It's showing me these people on the battlefield, like with their swords, like I said, and they're falling over, like with the Zs coming out of their like voice balloon because they're so tired. They're like becoming battle weary now. They like start off all energized and everything, and then they just keep getting hit and hit. Every time they like fight back, there's another sort of, as we know, something from government to hit them, and a fresh sword comes out of government all the time hitting back at them. So they're showing me like they're really, really tired. Oh, and they're nearly like falling over again. They're trying to remain stable, but they're just like the sword's just going like this all flippity floppity, and it's not really achieving a lot. Like they've still got their strength though, so they're still standing up, which is the main thing that we want to hear. But again, it has to be strength in numbers. And this is what the guides keep saying. And this is even for the people waking up. They have to connect with like kind, with others that will stand up with them. Because there's no point doing this in dilly-dallying and doing it in drips and drabs and one or two people here and there. It's got to be en masse. Because I always talk about it on here, and I used to talk about it when we all stood up in the very beginning. It's the big energy that pushes government back. When you bring that energy together, it's that vibration. It manages to push government over and like really push back against them. So they need to do this now. They really need to connect, but they're really tired. They're showing me the sleeping Zeds sort of coming out of their head. Hang on, I gotta have some tea. That it's showing me also, despite the fact that they're tired, that people are regaining their traction. So it's showing me that, you know, it's almost like when you're on one of those travelators at the airport. Some of those big international airports, a lot of you know, have those travelators. They're not escalators, they're travelators. You stand on them, it takes you from one end to the other because the airports can be so huge. Well, it's showing me people are managing to just get on these travelators, and it's taking them along through the sort of fight back now. It's keeping them stable, even though they might be tired. They don't have to like use their legs and all that anymore in their own sort of energy. They can save a bit of energy for the next kind of sword that's coming towards them. I hope that makes sense. But that's what I'm getting for these people waking up. They're still wanting to move forward, and this travelator's kind of moving them along to the next part of the fight back. So they're fighting back. They might be very weary about it, and like I always talk about them being the castaways that had fallen over on the beach and the waves kept coming over them from government, and they've found a way up. Well, now they've found a way forward as well, and it's almost that travelator that takes them to the next bit, and then they get off and they battle for a little while, then they get on the next travelator, and then they go along, and then they get their sword out again. So they have this little recoup and rest in between. So they're battling for different things now, and if they can manage to group together, it's going to help them a lot. But it's saying that with these travel agents, it's like they're covering a lot of ground now. So they're really moving forward towards government. This is great. We need them to move towards government. We need them to not be scared of government. We need them to not back away from government anymore, because a lot of them used to like back away and didn't want to rock the boat. And they didn't want to get arrested by the police like all of us naughty children nearly did. And they didn't want to wave their flags, and they didn't want to tell anyone about their vaccine injuries. That was them backing away from government. These are just some examples. There's many others. We know there's probably a lot of doctors and nurses out there who are silenced by a lot of these, well, you know, we've got APRA, CDC, is it? And a few of these places that silenced a lot of doctors and nurses. Don't you speak out or you lose your license. We know that happened. So they had to back away from government. Everyone's had to back away from government. If you don't get mandated and get your jab, you're going to lose your job. Another way, back away from government. I don't want to lose my job. I've got mouths to feed and house to pay off. You know, so we know that people had to step back. And they had to bloody comply when they didn't want to. And that's probably 3/4 of these people who are waking up. They're probably the ones that are waking up, is the ones that were forced and coerced into complying. Well, that's what's happening now. They're moving, like on the travel aid, they're moving towards government. And it's saying they're not using all their like energy now. They're just doing. So they're just moving forward. And it's that people supporting each other that will cause that pushback. With government. Hang on, let's see where else we go. Oh, sorry guys, I got the sneezies. They're saying that these people waking up are engineering their fightbacks. So I feel like these fightbacks are being quite carefully orchestrated and planned out. They're not going to be just some little let's draw on our cardboard sign, write a few words, and we'll just go and stand at Parliament House. That's not what these are going to be. I feel like these are going to be on a really large scale. They're very well planned out. The people organising them are very methodical. They're structured events, but it also says that it's been kept very silent. And it's been kept very silent for a reason, as we all know here, so it doesn't get squashed. It's almost saying like things might not be really put out there into the public domain, but it's all this sort of word of mouth that a lot of this is starting to happen. There's real movement and organisation, and they're saying in engineering. So there is, when I think of engineering, I think of there's some real brains, because you think of an engineer, they're pretty brainy normally. They're like a IT specialist, really, aren't they, some of them? And they're a little, can often be autism spectrum, because they're so intelligent and bright, and they have this great logical mind. But it shows me that this, with the engineering, it means it's being planned out and planned to a T. So I feel like a lot of these groups that are going to be uprising, standing up, there's a lot of thought and planning that's gone into this to fight back against government. Because as we all know here on my channel, it's not easy standing up to government. We all did it, and you know, fortunately, I would actually say that it did work, because it actually gave us a lot of our freedom back. As much as we might have got locked down and hidden away in our houses and stopped from getting a cup of coffee, which was very stressful for most of us, or going to a restaurant, movies, couldn't even go to a movie. You couldn't even get on public transport, could you, in Germany? It was absolutely ridiculous. Worldwide, we all got really locked down. But in some weird way, we actually found our freedom in that. And I know that's a very strange thing to say, but it actually gave us our freedom back, because we stood strong. We were the Bravehearts, the Braveheart bikers now roaming free around the countryside. And we did get our freedom back, because we found this new life that's become wonderful, full of laughs. We listen to music here. We get given so much music from the guides that it is really funny, and it takes us back to memories and faraway places. You know, we get movies, we get all sorts of things here. And the guides kind of give us the energy that we need at the time, like You Raise Me Up by Josh Groban. What an amazing song. You know, we have stood on our own little mountains as individuals in this process, and that's what I'm kind of saying to you today. We've got our freedom back because we fought for it, and now these people are having to do it, but they're having to do it in a very organized and methodical way. See, we stood up around the jab. So we only really had to fight back against pretty much one thing. It was really that. Now, these people are standing up against everything. You think about it. Cost of living, housing, health's going down the gurgler. Oh, and now the renewables too. You've got to get your electric car. There is so much, and it just goes on and on. The list goes on and on, as we know. Oh yeah, cashless society, let's credit score you, and all this is coming, and then people are waking up about the reset. So they're fighting about all of that, not us. We don't need to, because we're not in all of that. We're over here. We took off ages ago, and we're out of all of that. I do say we get the ripple effect. I'm not saying we don't get any effect of that. We do, but we saw it coming. So we were already prepared. And that's the difference. These people weren't prepared. It's hit them that hard, like a ton of bricks, and knocked them right over. But they're up, they're tired, but they're up and they're ready to fight. And it's like that, I keep saying that travelator, it's taking them along to the next battle and then the next battle. So I do feel like they're coming together, but it's really an engineered sort of uprising. I guess you could say the Netherlands were pretty engineered with their poop drop-offs and their hay drop-offs at Parliament House. That was quite well engineered. So it blocked all the roads and everything. And that's what I sort of am seeing, this engineering. There's going to be more planning going into these uprisings because they don't want to be like stopped in their tracks like, well, as we know, Trudeau did. He got the UN cops in to just squash everybody. So I do feel that the energy is changing in these people dramatically. They are getting stronger. They're still not great at protecting themselves. Like I said, they haven't got the shield. They're still finding that very hard because they don't have that inner strength. They've still got to work through a lot of their traumas, and that pain body's still rising up in a lot of them, and the angers and hurts and things. But the fact that they've got their sword and they are fighting back, it's just fantastic. And that's sort of what we need to hear on this channel. But it's their fight to have, not ours. We keep staying up on the mountain and watching with our binoculars from a distance and not getting involved in this. Because we know, you've got to remember, we know what this is. They don't know what this is. They're still figuring all this out. They know there was, you know, a lot of them know there was a lot of conspiracies thrown around and they all thought it was garbage. Gosh, you're going crazy. How many of us were told we were crazy? Exactly. All of us, I would say. Let me know down below if you were told you're a nutter and that you were, what do they say? Now they call us granny killers and all this sort of stuff. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is still going on in Australia. I was listening to the radio this morning. Absolutely nuts. And this guy was still going on about the guy on the radio. He's a real pain. And he goes on about unvaccinated people still. He goes, unvaccinated people, because he was talking about, I think I told you in this morning's video, they're going to deduct the pays off the people in Queensland, the teachers in Queensland who are unjabbed. They're going to take 18 weeks pay off them. What? Punishing them because they didn't want to take a trial vaccine. And he was going on and on about it on the radio. And I thought, God, how many people are going to be listening to this? So many. So they're still vilifying us. They are. That mass psychosis is really quite scary at times, isn't it? That's why I always tell you to really stay away from that a bit now, because it's too prickly, like the cactus I said this morning. People are very, very... Soon, the minute you bring it up, their defences come straight up. It's that mass psychosis. They will defend this CV virus to the ends of the earth because they need to know they made the right choice. They don't want to be told, oh, have you seen the Pfizer data? It's really horrifying. You know, it's causing myocarditis and blood clots. It's killing people, having strokes. And they're putting defibrillators and everything. You know, they've had 3 and 4 boosters. They're not going to want to hear that. So that's an area that we really need to stay away from, and we need to stay away from them while they're battling. Let's leave them to it, and that's my advice for you today. I'll just see if there's something to close with. Hang on. Yeah, and the advice is we've got to just stop living in the past. We've got to, like, draw that line in the sand. They're showing me draw that line in the sand and just keep moving forward. You know, we're always going to go back. I always talk about the vintage shop and things like that and songs that we go back to, good memories. But we take the positive parts and things from the past, and we take them forward with us. But we've got to keep moving forward with our lives. This is really important to anyone watching my channel. We've got to be proactive. We've got to keep sort of setting goals and achieving things. That's really important to our mental health. And we've got to stay doing that, living in the now. That's really important. I've got a few videos. If you're not sure how to do things like that, learn to live in the now, I'll leave one over here to teach you how to do that and why living in the now is so important. So maybe if you're a young person, for example, on this channel, and you're just really coming into your spirituality now, the healthiest and the best way to keep your body relaxed and calm and not contracted and feeling like uptight and anxious is to learn to live in the now. And there's a great guy I always talk about, Eckhart Tolle. I think most of you here know Eckhart Tolle. We've all watched him. He's absolutely brilliant. He's been through a big dark night of the soul, which is like a big breakdown, and he learned how to just embrace the moment. And that's what we all do here on my channel. We've created Terra Bella, and that's our place where we can go to live in the now. And it's beautiful. It's just so nice to finally have some sort of peace in our life and not be feeling worried and scared and frightened anymore. We've shed all that. It's like that shedding of the old snake skin. I've talked about that here before. We shed our old snake skin and we outgrew it, and we took off and we scrambled up that mountain, and we're still sitting over there observing all of this from afar. So that's what I'm going to leave you with today. We'll stay up on the mountain for a little bit longer. Actually, quite a long time, I'd say. This is going to go for a while. And just keep looking through the binoculars and observing everything, because that's the best place to stay. So I'm going to say goodbye from Australia. Have a great night, everybody. It's getting dark here, and I will come on and have a chat tomorrow. Leave me some comments down below. You know, I love hearing from you guys and what your experiences are. I'll leave that video of living in the now, and don't forget to hit those like buttons, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have a great night. Bye from Australia. Bye.